Yo, welcome back to the channel. It's about time that we finish the stock X-Ray project that we've been working on. Got a lot done since we bought this thing for $1,000 a couple months ago, but there's just a few more things to check off the list. We're gonna get them done today, and then we can call this project done. And there's a little bit of a surprise at the end of the video. Let's check it out. The Jeep is 100% mechanically sound now, and if you'll remember, that's why it was so cheap in the first place, was because it had coolant in the oil. That's all fixed, it's 100%. But I had to throw the exhaust together so we could get on the road trip, go to Alabama. New exhaust, got a new header panel and grill in the correct color. You would not believe how hard this was to find, but I got one. Got some new bumper trim panels. We're gonna replace these because they're bent, and then paint the little middle piece, and then the back ones are in good shape too. So we're just gonna paint those to match. We're gonna need a headliner. It's being held up by tacks at the moment. And just a good detail all around. Since these two doors don't have the trim all the way through, we're gonna take this one off and take them off on this side too. Let's start by taking off all this old trim, which looks like removing some household fasteners. Nice. And I think there's two bolts here, maybe one underneath. Got both the front corners off. There's a couple 10mm bolts holding it there. One of them broke off on each side, and then two 8mm bolts up here below the fender. Now that's gonna be interesting for the new one. We should probably try and straighten this out a little bit so it mounts correctly. Cross that bridge when we get there. Definitely gonna have to do something about this bumper. On this side, it's almost flush with the grill, and on this side, it's way in. If we just loosen up the Torx bolts once we have the grill off, we can slide the bumper over and make sure it's center. Now there was a little bit of a miscommunication, I guess, from where I bought this grill. I wanted the headlight bezels too, just so it would all match, but I'm almost sure that these are still factory color. They didn't get repainted with the grill whenever that happened. So let me pull one of these out quick. We'll see if that's the case. Oh yeah, we're definitely good. Those match. Perfect. Looking good. I'm gonna take the turn signals out. I'm gonna try to leave the headlights in place and pull them out, pull out the whole headlight bucket. Side markers are off too. Now, I already removed the 10mm bolts facing front. There's one in each corner, top of the hood. Then we got a few more 10mm along the back. That should be everything holding on the grill. Should be loose now. Yep. All right, headlight's gonna have to come out. There's no way to get these out from the back. There's like little push tabs you gotta squeeze together, but we'll get it unplugged. And we'll get all the other wire harness off of here. It's snapped into the grill here. Leave the wire harness behind and then take away the grill. Old grill's out. Before I put in the new one, see if we can get this bumper centered up. See how easy it wants to move? Ain't too bad. Kind of mocked up the new corners here to make sure we're getting a good fitment. This side's looking good. The side with the dent, I was actually able to like move this pretty easily and pop the dent out a little bit. I think when we do our final fitment, we'll be able to kind of squeeze everything together and make it bolt up. So that should work. There's a little notch on the corners here. I need to line up with that hole, but I can easily move this fender out. Bumper's good to go. I already got one of the headlights transferred. We'll do the other one. We don't need to take out the headlight completely. We just have to loosen up the screws that aim the headlight. Take them all the way out. Then we're just gonna pull out these clips, push the two tabs in, and we're just gonna snap it into place on the other grill. And then we shouldn't have to re-aim the headlights. The dirty screw, you can kind of see right exactly where it was. So we just gotta tighten it down to that point again. And we're good, we can reinstall. Looking good, color looks right on. Let's get the rest of that back together. Wow, glad I found that grill. That looks 100 times better. That looks like it's supposed to look, factory. The gold matches as it should. We'll throw on them new corner pieces and it'll really tie the room together. That totally completes this front end. Did what we could here with the fender being dented. There's a little bit of a gap, but that's where I'm gonna call it a night. Tomorrow we'll get the rest of the trim off and get the rear corners off and painted. And then I got a sample of the headliner. I'm gonna have to get some fabric that kind of matches. That looks a little bit faded. So somewhere between there. See you tomorrow. All right, we're back, and I started to take off this driver's side trim piece, and it took a lot longer than I thought it would by the time I got all the glue cleaned off and everything like that. So before I attempt to take off these three on this side, since it's gonna take some time, we're gonna go ahead and paint the corners first, because that's kind of making sense in my head for that to dry while I'm working over there. But I was gonna take them off because it looks simple enough, a bolt here, but there's another bolt up here, and it's a really tiny screw, and it's like deep in this hole, and I couldn't get a socket in there or the right size or whatever. So rather than fighting that and risk breaking it, I think we'll just paint it while it's on the Jeep. We'll mask it off nicely. We'll get the taillights off quick. I already got that one up and zip tied it out of the way. Zip tied out of the way. Now I can mask that off. Cleaned off. Use some bug and tar remover. Clean them off. And I spilled my beverage. Rip. But here's what we're going to be using. I used this stuff before on my door handles. And there's a freaking X-Ray on it. I mean, what more do you want? A couple light coats of this stuff. Well, I might as well finish this project because it only takes a few minutes between coats for it to dry, so we're gonna be done with that real quick. Clean up my mess. Final coats drying on that now, so we'll finally head over. I'm gonna start pulling this trim off. On the other side, I used a heat gun and some fishing line, but this is already peeled up a little bit right here. I wonder, yeah, that shouldn't be too hard. Like that. And then for the glue, I'll just heat it up with the heat gun, and then I got one of these fancy rubber 3M wheels. Some Goo Gone, goof off, whatever, for the residue. That should clean it up pretty good. And if we have to, we can cut and polish the door. See if this one comes off easy like the front one. Yeah. Just takes it right off. So pretty much I'm gonna sit here and do that to every little piece of adhesive. Still gotta get that one off. Check this out. I was heating up this piece to warm up the adhesive. Look at that, it's just bringing the color right around. I'm gonna grab some fishing line, kind of floss it behind there and pop that panel off. Got all of our glue off with that there fancy wheel, and we're left with this. First I'm gonna come through with a microfiber, just kind of dust it down. Something like that. This is where our goof off comes in handy. Got some of it soaked into a microfiber here, and we'll use that really dirty spot as an example. And it just cuts it right down and makes it pretty good. And I'll probably end up clay barring and detailing the whole Jeep. If there is a difference in the paint, that'll buff out. Looking pretty good. And like I said, it'll blend a lot better. Once we detail it, throw some polish on there, it'll look good. I'm thinking these are dry by now. Gonna pull off all this masking, put the taillights back in, see how the back end ties together. Man, that's looking good. Maybe a little too good. But now we're gonna move on to the exhaust. I'm just gonna remove the whole exhaust system, lay it out on the floor, compare it to the new parts, and then kind of go over it that way, because there's a lot going on. So here's everything that came out, and I didn't have the cat hooked up. I wanna put that back so it's original, but for this down pipe, I had to cut off the flange. So we got a new down pipe, got the cat, and then the muffler goes there, behind the cat, and then to the new tailpipe. Should be pretty simple. Start with the down pipe. We got gaskets for the flanges. So there's the exhaust manifold there. And we got our pipe with an exhaust mount that's above the transmission cross member. And then there's the mount right there. So gotta get this thing through there. I actually had to drop the cross member a little bit because that flange is so big. It wouldn't fit through. It's easy enough, 2 bolts on either side. But now it's in, mounted up, as you can see. That pipe's mounted, nice and solid. So now we got our flange here. Can mount up the cat. Got a jack stand here to kind of hold it up while I put everything together. Cat's bolted up and secure. It's actually holding there on its own. Now instead of putting the muffler in next, I'm actually gonna put in the tailpipe. That way we can see where it comes out, and we can always trim some off the muffler, make sure it'll fit, take some measurements. We only need this hanger on there. We can cut this one off. It's not even used. Here's what I come up with. We don't even need to mess with the muffler. Everything's in place. Now it's a center inlet and then off center outlet, but might be backwards. I don't know. There's arrows on here and they're pointing both ways. I doubt it matters anyway. These 2 pipes are the same diameter, so we're just gonna get a little, probably 6-inch piece of pipe to put over them to join them together, and we'll have a nice complete exhaust. Ooh, buddy, looking good, and it's solid. Got a piece of pipe in here, and I got this clamp tightened up on the tailpipe. That's solid. We're gonna fire the thing up. Make sure it sounds good too. No leaks or nothing. Sounds nice and stock. Shut her down before I get fumed out here. Gotta fix that squeaky belt too. Actually, we might as well take care of that right now. Try to at least. We'll get the old belt off of here, check out all the pulleys, and if they look fine, we'll just throw a new belt on and we'll see what that does. Gonna loosen up the 15mm here on the idler pulley. And then all we do from there is back off this tensioner. That should be pretty good. Yep. Here's the old belt. Definitely cracked and dry rotted. Doesn't look too bad though. That one looks pretty good. Fans on there straight. Water pump looks good. Power steering pump also looks good. Spun the alternator from underneath. That seems fine, so I think we'll just throw on the new belt. Got it changed out, tightened up. Nice. That works for me. That should be about everything on the outside. We're good to head in now and drop the headliner. I'm gonna pull the Jeep up as far as I can because it's gotta come out the boot. I went ahead and disconnected the battery. That way the interior lights weren't running. And we got a lot of trim to take out. Pretty much the whole trim that runs along the top. And then the A-pillars come out. Get that on out of that. Oh shit. Also, I did get back the lab results for the oil change. I'll put them up on the screen now. Everything looked really good, especially the big 0 in the coolant section, so problem definitely fixed. It did show high in iron, copper, and lead compared to averages, but they said that was completely normal for an engine that was just torn apart and put back together. So clean bill of health on the engine, which is good news. I'm not surprised though. That engine was very clean on the inside, if you remember that. Good job, old cream puff. First, I'm gonna get everything that's actually attached to the headliner itself, like the speakers, the dome light here, the front dome light, and the sun visors. Sun visors came out no problem, just a bunch of Phillips screws. We'll drop that down, unplug it, and then we should be good to start taking off all this trim. Got all the trim out, as you can see, and I did a headliner before on my other XJ, and I just kind of bombed through it, but it really behooves you to start at the back and move front, and everything comes out real easy. A lot of these parts interlock, some of them are metal, and yeah, a few of them got bent on mine, but we won't talk about that. And then the front A-pillar trim just needs to get popped off and can just dangle here. So now the headliner's free. Pull it on out. Never mind, some push clips here and there. I don't really remember that on mine, but we'll pop these out. I think I saw one up there too. All right, I got it on out of there. It's not too bad, it's super light. Now I got about 100 thumbtacks to get out of here. There's 2 push pins holding on this plate that need to come out. We'll rip the old fabric off, and then there's this glue. But it comes off super easy. It'd be nice if I could salvage this too. I got it off in one piece, but we'll see about putting it back on. Here's about the best bet for getting this stuff off. Barbecue brush, vacuum, and I'm gonna wear a mask, but it comes off easy, but this stuff's just nasty, so that looks much better. I'm gonna grab a measurement quick and then go get some material. Hopefully we can find something that matches pretty good. Courtney got wind we are going to Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby.
Got wind.
We're back, here's what I came up with. Good old 20 bucks at Hobby Lobby, and the color actually is a lot better than I thought I would get. Ready to go, recruited some help, got it cooking in here. So what we're gonna use, 3M Super 77, we're gonna spray it, let it get tacky, and then lay it on and try not to get any wrinkles. Front half stuck on, looks pretty good. No wrinkles yet, good job. We're doing pretty good, but the last part is going to be the hardest with the speaker holes and all these divots, and we did the best we could. Well, I did. Courtney's looks almost perfect. Good job. Now we're poking holes and got that one done already, and then stuck a light under here.
I discovered it.
Courtney discovered that if you stick a light under here, you can see right where you need to cut. Pretty cool. Better than factory, right?
Yes.
All the holes are punched out. I trimmed all the edges and tucked them around. So now we're good to reinstall. Headliner is back in. Everything's back in place. Looking really nice. Much better than thumbtacks holding it up. That about does it. And that pretty much concludes everything that this Jeep needed, besides a full detail inside and out. But as soon as I get that done, it's actually going to be time to move on from this project. That's right, I'm going to be selling this XJ. As much as I want to keep a clean stock Cherokee, it just doesn't make sense right now. I already have a XJ that I work on and get frustrated with, and it's just time to move on to the next project. I'll be selling this on a auction site to be determined for no reserve. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at Jeepin. I'll keep you posted there about when it's going live and everything like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this Jeep and everything we did to it. Make sure you stay tuned. We got plenty of projects to keep us busy. Hope you enjoyed this video. Take it easy, and I'll see you in the next one.